Bless everybody. Good morning or good evening or good afternoon, whenever it is you are watching. Um, Today we're going to be talking about the word joy. When I was a kid, I was I remember I remember um, this elderly woman who came out of her house really upset in my direction. She was grouchy. She was mumbling things, and she came over to in my direction. And after that, I thought to myself, and it wasn't that she was like not mentally there. She was just grouchy. And I remember saying to myself, what happened in her life? Right? What happens in a person's life for them to become that way? You know, and two, I never want to become that way. As a kid, I told myself, I asked myself that question: what happens to somebody to become that way? And also, I told myself, I don't want to become that way when I get older. I don't want to be a grouchy old man. You know, but now that I'm older, I find myself that I do tend to be grouchy if I don't eat and I'm hungry, you know, and I didn't eat and time keeps going and I haven't eaten. I can get a little grouchy. You know, if something, you know, was done to me and I don't appreciate it, I can get a little grumpy, grouchy, upset. And who wouldn't? Who wouldn't get grumpy or grouchy? Right? I think we all have those moments. And as we get older, I don't know, maybe I'm a little bit more aware of them or whatever it is, but it's part of being human. You know, the circumstances in our lives cause us to be either happy one moment, or it can change, and another moment we can be upset or sad or mad, and then happy again. And that's just normal. That's happiness comes and goes, right? Happiness comes and goes. It's here right now. It leaves after something happens. It comes back to me, and then it leaves again. That's happiness, right? However, happiness is not the same thing as joy. All humans can experience moments of being happy, but not all humans experience joy. Joy is given by walking with God. Galatians 5:22 says, but the fruit of the Spirit is, and it mentions a couple of things, and one of those things is joy. Galatians 5:22. It is a fruit. It is produced, right, in someone who is walking in the Spirit, who is spending time with God. So those people who have chosen to love God, who have chosen to walk with God, can experience joy. It's not something that you're already born with, right? It's a fruit of the Spirit, and it grows as we walk with God, as our relationship with Him grows. People who don't love God can experience happiness, but not joy. Joy is exclusively for those that follow Christ. Why is that? Well, because people who walk with God have learned to trust God, and they aren't depending on earthly circumstances to make them feel happy or not, right? And they're not blaming God for the wrongs that have happened, but rather they thank God in all circumstances. Even in the bad times, they're thanking God. Think about Paul in prison. How he was not blaming God, but rather he was singing songs. Somebody who is not walking with God could have been complaining, cursing, doing all sorts of things. But when you walk with God, it just changes. What is joy? I can only describe it as like being happy, but it just never ends. It just doesn't end. Philippians 4:4 says, "Rejoice in the Lord always." Again I say rejoice. Rejoice. To be joyous. Joyful. Always. Always. Right? That's something that people that don't have a relationship with God don't quite understand. Why do I have to be thankful to God when something goes wrong? That's just absurd. Like, that makes no sense to me. But if we are truly walking with God, if we are following His Word, and He says there to be thankful in all circumstances, then I just have learned to trust God, or I am learning to trust God, right? And I truly believe that God is in control. Then, right, we will be thanking Him in all circumstances because I know that God's in control. And yes, to the human brain, even to a person who is walking with God, our physical brain can be absurd. But the spiritual side is trusting in God and knows that God has a purpose. Right? Romans 8:28 says, "And we know that all things work together for good to those who love God, to those who are called according to His purpose." See, God has a plan. It's things work out because it's His plan. It's His purpose. And so when we are serving God, when we are walking with Him, that makes us joyful, right? If we keep God's commands and follow His desires, then we will love Him, and He will fill, our hearts with joy. Being in God's presence and walking with Him is the best thing on earth. The things that happen around us might cause us and can cause us to be sad, upset, worried, mad, grumpy, grouchy. Right? But we know that with God, then, He's got us. He's paid the price so that whoever chooses to accept Him can follow Him, right? Can be saved. So that the relationship with God, right, can be restored when we come to Him. And has been restored when He came down and died on the cross. Right? And that makes us joyful to know that God is with us. I hope that you are growing in your walk with God. If you let it go a little bit, then take a moment right now to pray to Him, talk to Him, and tell Him what is in your heart, and embrace that moment with God. God bless everybody. I'll see you next time. Bye.